Good morning and welcome to SEN Stream. Mike kicks off the stream by ruining his transitions. We look ahead to week 10. It's nearly December. Next steps on the supervisor allocation are considered. We have a tweet of the week, a My Sports Science video. We take some questions and provide answers in the chat. Stay tuned to find out more, folks. Guys, good morning and welcome to episode 10 of SEN Stream. You may see that I have a very large microphone in front of my face this morning. That is because I'm trying to reduce the echo that we had last week. I do review the videos after the fact, and I was horrified. So we had a SEN Stream first this morning. I started with a swear word, so I apologize for anyone who has been upset by that. But I was messing with the settings just before we went live. And yeah, you ended up seeing what you weren't supposed to see right at that particular moment side. But nevertheless, I never claimed to be perfect with SEN Stream. So there we are. So who have we got with us this morning? Good morning to Laura. Good morning, Gillian. We've got Miguel. Good morning. We've got Fran. Good morning. We've got Rebecca. Good morning. Great to have you on board. And we've also got Adam as well. Nice to see that you're all saying good morning and welcome to one another as we move on. Now, again, with the new microphone, the whole point and purpose is to try and enhance and improve the quality. So if I'm too quiet, if I'm too loud, or if it still sounds echoey, please let me know in the chat so that I can try and do something about it. So what have we got on the stream today? We're going to look ahead to the modules for week 10. We're in week 9 at the moment. Just storming through the semester. Before we know it, we'll be sat opening presents on Christmas Day, hopefully, if you celebrate Christmas, that is. But yeah, the semester is flying by, and we're just trying to keep everybody on board as we move through. We've got an interesting tweet of the week this week, hopefully to open up a few more resources to you if you haven't already become available, haven't already been aware of this particular resource, but no spoilers just yet. And we'll be considering, for the full-time students and the part-time year 2 students, we'll be considering the next steps towards your supervisor allocation. I just saw there that my chat just suddenly decided to start working, which is fantastic. So there we go. Let me just see what else is being said here. Much better sound today, nice and clear. Thank you, Laura, for letting me know. It gives me confidence to sit here and talk to you all if I know the stream is going well. So let's move straight into the module updates. As always, folks, if you have any questions about anything to do with the course or any of the specific modules, or just a general sport and exercise nutrition question that you want to ask in the chat for your peers to see and for me to try and read and answer, then please don't be shy. Get them in there and we can continue the conversation as we move through the stream today. But let's get on with the module updates and go from there. I believe we are going to kick off with nutrition and performance. So let's get it up there now. Excellent. So essentials of nutrition performance more specifically. So next week's session, we'll be thinking, you guys will be thinking about nutrition and aging. Excuse me. So I believe Jane is going to kick off the topic, thinking about how people's needs and requirements change as they progress through the later stages of their life. So from about sort of 40 and 50 onwards, unfortunately, it's generally a bit of a downhill curve, but is it linear in relationship? We're starting to now understand a little bit more about the aging process, and they're starting to appreciate that in actual fact, our physiological decline as we move towards later life isn't actually as linear as people may suggest. And it's all about trying to ensure that we don't fall off a cliff in terms of our function, our mobility, and our physiology. So what nutritional strategies and exercise strategies can we put in place to try and ensure that we maintain physiological function and independence throughout the rest of our life, to increase longevity, to increase the quality of those years that we spend on our planet Earth as we stand. And then this session will lead into a session with Dr. Bradley Elliott. Dr. Bradley Elliott is a physiologist in the School of Life Sciences. I'm not sure if you guys would have seen him yet. Do let me know in the chat if you have. But his specialism within research is in looking at functional aging. So great person to come and speak to you guys. You will note, for those who are interested in research projects, that I added Brad's projects to the document. I forgot to add them in, and my apologies, Brad, for not including those. But do take a look. It's got some interesting work going on. Quite lab-based work. So if you're interested in looking at cell lines or working within the wet laboratory itself, definitely worth a look to see if you can get involved and further your skill sets from there. So do take a look and get involved. Some other updates with regards to this module. I believe we have a second slide here. Nope. Okay, excellent. So again, the feedback we got, I'm going to apologize because I've approached Laura and Bruno with regards to finding out a little bit more about what the general consensus is of the feedback we've received. But I haven't had a chance to pin down a meeting with you guys. It's been quite a busy week this week, so I do apologize, and that will happen. But looking at the feedback in general for this module, some excellent feedback. You guys are really enjoying it. You want more of this sort of stuff. We do have to balance that, we can't have an entire module which is just looking at this entire course. It's just looking at stuff, because you won't get your AFN accreditation, you won't get your center registration and stuff like that. So it needs to be balanced, and we do try and promote the practical aspects of this particular module and the specificity as well that you guys are interested in. So excellent to see that you're enjoying it, and we will try and continue to do more of that. Jane was super happy with the feedback that you guys gave on this module, so thank you very much for sharing that and doing that. Excellent. Just looking at the chat there, Jillian's come in and said she briefly chatted with Brad during the induction day. Me and Brad are quite good friends, but Brad's a bit of a geek, so get your idea of like a stereotypical scientist, and then that's Brad. So he intelligent guy, lots of interesting things to talk about with regards to aging. So do get yourselves across to that session, get involved, ask lots of questions, and as always, just try and facilitate the session moving forwards, which I know you guys do. All the feedback I get from the session, the tutors, is how well engaged you are with the material and the session. I briefly sat in on Andy Berman's talk the other week in practitioner skills, and again, the questions, the engagement was all fantastic. So great job, guys. Well done. Let's move it on though. Let's move on to concepts and principles of nutrition. Now, exclusive, guys. The marks for your coursework 1, the critical review, are now available. Now, hopefully my viewership for the stream doesn't just drop off a cliff while you all have a mass exodus to go towards the Blackboard site and take a look. But just to make you aware, the marks are now available. But I just want to be very, 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 very keen to tell you that it's just really important that you sit down with a coffee, cup of tea, whatever it's going to be, and you take the opportunity to sit down and you go through all of the comments and the feedback that you've received as part of this coursework, because this is the first opportunity you guys have got to receive feedback on work that you've done in the semester. And that's really important, because for a written piece of work, to be specific. And it's really important that you take on board that feedback, and you don't just look at the mark that you've got and gone, oh, great, fantastic, or disaster. So do take the opportunity to click on the link, go into the document and work your way through the comments, have a look how it works into the rubric, what's the summative comments that the marker has given you, and then try and develop a strategy for how you're going to implement that feedback into your next piece of work. Whatever that may be. So I can't stress this enough, that don't get fixated on the actual mark itself. Get yourself into the feedback that you've received and really start to understand where it is you could have nudged marks up, what you've done well, and how you can continue to use that technique or that particular approach that you've used, and just to try and round out that, because otherwise the mark, it tells you how well you've performed overall, but it doesn't tell you why. And that's the most important thing when you look at your feedback. on that particular piece of work. So I had a quick look before I came on the stream this morning just to kind of get a gauge to how many people had actually looked at their marks. It tells us whether you've seen your mark and you clicked on the piece of work itself. We can find out lots of stuff about you guys, how many times you log onto Blackboard, if you're on Blackboard, how long you spend on it, what pages you visited, how frequently you do that. And you can really go into a lot of detail if you've got that kind of time on your hands. I personally don't tend to do that unless someone isn't turning up, and to find out why that might be, or whether they're engaging from home typically, but that's the worst case scenario. But we can see when you've seen the marks, and as such, do take that opportunity to really get into that feedback and find out exactly why you got that mark and how you can move on and improve it moving forwards. So looking ahead to the session on concepts and principles next week, you've got a two-part session. First part is with Teddy. He's going to be looking at the key dietary components to zinc. Another session on key dietary components on zinc and iron. I can just see some chat coming in. I'll return to that in a second. And then in the second part, you've got Maria, who is going to be looking at eating and mental health, which is a fairly hot topic at the moment. So dietary practices focus on food and nutrition, and with a psychological element to that. So again, get yourselves across there. A very, very acute session there from Teddy on zinc and iron consumption, the impacts of that, and then followed up by a more generic and psychology-based session with Maria on eating and mental health. So two exciting sessions. Get yourselves across there, get involved, and I believe Claire is going to be picking up this afternoon on concepts and principles with you with regards to the marks and maybe some generic feedback as to how you got on. Now, my role in the marking for this was I was the moderator. So I looked across all of the different topics of all of the different markers to ensure that there was a degree of consistency, that the feedback that on all the scripts that I viewed, I have to view at least 20% of all the scripts submitted, was consistent, that there wasn't lacking detail anywhere, that it was clear how it linked to the rubric had been completed, all those types of things. And I was actually quite happy with what had been done. So I have had a snapshot look at across the topics. At this point for me, it was completely anonymized, as it always is with your work submitted. So I don't know whose work I was looking at, but I have to choose the top, some 80s, 70s, then into the 60s, 50s, and then any 40s. And all of the fails I need to have a look at, just to confirm that I'm in agreement and that there's been more than one person that's looked at those scripts. So take some confidence that we've done a great job on getting the feedback back to you within the 15 working days as well, which is a huge effort, so you guys can work on the feedback moving forward. So great job once again. Get yourselves across the concepts this afternoon. I'm sure Claire will pick up on the conversation with you guys from there. Now, if there's any of you thinking you've not performed as well as you maybe had hoped to have performed, then just give it a day. Read your feedback. Get angry, get annoyed. Think about exactly what has been said, and then take the opportunity to start seeking out any additional support that you might need. Now, that could be getting in touch with your personal tutor, which is likely me or Sanjoy or Jane, but it could be speaking to Claire directly. She might have a few people who are speaking to her. So do seek out additional support and advice after you've taken the opportunity to sit down with a clear head and have a read of some of the feedback that you've got, take it on board and go from there. So I've just seen a bit of chat coming in. Let's just head across there now. Hopefully the chat will work. Yeah, this bit only works if you get new conversations coming in. So let me just get it up on the screen so I can actually see it. So Laura's come in. I've had a click this morning, but we'll sit down later on and go through it properly. Excellent. That is excellent practice. Hopefully other people have had the opportunity to have a look at their feedback. If you haven't done so already, then do sit down, take a look, take it on board and go from there. Now let's head back over to the module updates. So let's move it on to, I believe, research methods for health sciences 1. Yes, excellent. So you are going to, we had a bit of a reshuffle from last year to this year. And last year there was quite a heavy emphasis on qualitative research methods in the second semester. So we sat down as a research team and came to the conclusion that we would like to try and break that up a little bit so that it wasn't quite so semester 2 heavy and also condensed into one block. Because generally you guys, and this is generally, I'm not going to force this view on you, but most of you will be using quantitative methods because you'll be measuring parameters in the blood, you'll be measuring substrate usage, you'll be using a scale of some description. Whatever it is that you might be doing, it tends to be quite quantitative in nature. The qualitative stuff is still super important when we think about you as a practitioner. So you can see that the focus for the research methods sessions next week will be on focus groups. So Maria is going to do a session with you guys in the first half of that, which is looking at focus groups and the role that they play within nutrition research as a whole. Now, what I want you guys to do is remember that you need to apply a sports nutrition context to this. So under what circumstances might you be sat in a focus group? Now, my perception here is that if you're employed as a sports nutritionist to a sports club, for example, it's going to be fairly unfeasible for you to sit down with every single athlete as a member of that club and start doing a one-to-one consultation, doing a 3-day weight food diary, doing all the dietary analysis for that, coming up with specific nutrition plans, meal plans, how that links into the specific needs of that particular individual. It's not going to work. And the likelihood is the club would not be paying you for that level of service. Great if they are, job for life if they are doing that, but the likelihood is going to be a bit more top level. And as such, you might use a focus group to try and get a little bit more insight as to the nutritional knowledge, practices, attitudes that the club has as a whole, by selecting some of the top tier players, some middling, some of the junior players, and getting a bit of a feel for how that would. But if you had a methodology or a structure to that focus group that you could dwell on, because you sat in Maria's session, you thought, well, how do I do this well? How has it been previously done? How can I take some of that emphasis or that knowledge from that research environment and apply it to the setting that I've got? I really want you to try and take away from that session. That's the type of environment that you're going to be doing that in. Similarly, you might be now. A couple of students have been in touch about some ideas around research projects. So you might actually use a focus group methodology in order to get a snapshot insight into a particular sport or a particular group of individuals, i.e., junior athletes, senior athletes, masters athletes, whatever it would be. You don't have time to do one-to-one questionnaires with everybody, but you do have time to sit down, get everybody in a room and run a focus group with them on their knowledge, attitudes, perceptions of the nutritional advice that they receive, for example. So that there is absolutely ways to apply focus groups within sports nutrition. So please don't forget that and always keep it in the back of your mind. Now, in order to help facilitate that, the focus group practical workshop will then be split into a session run by Regina for the GPHN students, and also then a session led by Rumi for the sport and exercise nutrition guys, you guys. So do take the opportunity to put some of that practice to good use and move from there. So hopefully that keeps you involved, intrigued, and go from there, basically. Now, the final point to make, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit today. We've already started this process, but super allocation to be discussed. So I'm going to talk about this briefly later, but you guys have all got access to the projects, the advertised projects document. So do get yourselves over to that. Have a look. Even if you're a part-time year one student, start getting familiarized with what the staff are interested in. And see if you could shadow anyone doing their project this year so that you're in a better position for next year, whatever it is. But do make sure you engage with that document. Now, well done to Hannah Sedeva, who's contacted me with regards to a project. I've also had Rebecca come in touch with me, putting a proposal forward and not being sure as to exactly who would be the best person to get, so to be aligned with. So I've given some advice to both of those students. I haven't had anybody else contact me, which is absolutely fine. I was chatting with Sanjoy over a coffee yesterday, and he'd had one student approach him. So again, I cannot emphasize enough, get in touch with the supervisors that you're interested in working with and just give them a little nudge to say, I've seen that you're advertising this project. I'd like to be involved. Can I find out more information? Could be an email, could be a WhatsApp, a Hangouts call. It could be a face-to-face chat, have a coffee with them, whatever. But do engage with them, because if I then go and speak to Claire or Sanjoy or Jane or Carly or whoever it is, that I will ask them, have you had any MSc students be in touch with you with regards to any of your projects? And then that will form part of the process of doing the supervisor allocation. So if you're particularly keen on a particular supervisor or a project area, let it be known, because it will help me with the supervisor allocation next week. So I'm going to come back to that topic later on, but just as a slight snapshot into that. Now, Let me head over to a different view. Now, Adam has been just come in and just give a little bit insight as to his experiences so far on the feedback. So, Adam, I've just had a look and read the feedback from mine. It's honest and constructive with direction for the future, a positive way to learn and grow. Thank you for sharing that experience, Adam. Hopefully, it will encourage your peers and everybody else watching today to try and get involved and have a look at their feedback that they've received. So again, thank you for sharing that. Excellent work and good practice is what I would say moving forwards. Okay, let's move it back on to, oops, sorry, just having a disaster on this end. Let's move it back over to the module updates. Okay, final module is practitioner skills for sports nutritionists. Sanjoy has taken my head off with updates this week, which is fantastic. So, so you had a piece of work due on, I believe it was Tuesday this week for the people. So this is part-time full-time students and part-time year 2 students, I believe, off the top of my head. My apologies if I got that wrong, but some of you will have submitted some work this week. And first of all, congratulations, because everyone has submitted their portfolios. And it's congratulations for getting another piece of coursework boxed off, finished, and done. So well done for that. Excellent. You had Wendy Martinson come in from British Rowing. She was super impressed with how you engaged in the session, and she let Sanjoy know, and Sanjoy wants you guys to know how well you engaged in the session as well. So thank you for that. It really helps when we get externals in for them to have a positive experience, because they'll want to come back again. And again, Wendy's been through the doing this session for the last few years. So for her to come up and say that this year you've been particularly engaging is really good, reflective of the cohort this year and how well you're engaging with the content in the session. So, but moving on, looking ahead to next week, there's a slight change to the timetable session. So Sanjoy has said you'll be focusing on principles of behavior and the use of technology in sports nutrition practice. And the guest lecturer, Chris Curtis, will be coming in week 11. So he's just asked me to give you a slight mention to that. Now, I thought it'd be nice if we took the opportunity to just have a quick look at who the hell Chris Curtis is. So I opened up his LinkedIn profile here. So let's bring it up on the screen so everyone can have a bit of a nosy. Chris is on Twitter as well, for anyone who's got a sports nutrition specific nutrition account and you want to have a look at it. So he's the program lead for the MSc in Sport and Exercise Nutrition at Middlesex University. Let's face it, they're a bitter rival because they're a little bit too close to London for comfort. Nevertheless, we are doing some knowledge exchange. He's coming in talking to you guys with regards to the session that he's going to do in week 11. But you can see Chris has got a fairly impressive portfolio of applied work here. So, consultant performance nutritionist for Crystal Palace Football Club. He's the program leader we've already talked about. He's also the performance nutritionist for the RFU England women's team. So he's going to be coming in talking to you about dealing and working with female athletes within the sport and exercise nutrition world. He was at St. Mary's University, program director for the Applied Sports Nutrition program, lecturer in nutrition and visiting lecturer. This is, if you're interested in an academic career progression, this tends to be how it goes. You become a visiting lecturer. The institution realizes that you're decent at your job. Then you get the lecturer position, and then you move on to some form of program director from there. And you can see here he's an interim expert science executive for GSK Human Performance Laboratory. GSK used to own Lucozade. Now they only own Maximus, I believe, and that was the focus. They set up this kind of an exclusive human performance laboratory. I was lucky enough to go and have a visit. Super swanky, had loads of cash thrown at it. Was a very promotional thing for GSK. And they do some nice work there. So that was part of what he was doing there. He was at West Hertfordshire College here as a lecturer, director and nutritionist at Total Nutrition Limited. He's got it all on here, guys. So I think the take-home message is that Chris is going to do a decent job on this session. So get yourselves across to that session in week 11. Look forward to it. Look him up on Twitter, see what he's been having to say for himself, and then go from there. So hopefully I like to share people's career portfolios and backgrounds because it gives nice context as to where they've been, where they've come from, what they're doing now. To give you a little bit of insight as to how that all works. Okay, sorry, just checking the chat to see nothing's going on. What else have we got? Sanjoy is going to be uploading the consultations you will need to evaluate for the next coursework by the end of the week. So for those taking the module, have a look on the module Blackboard site, have a look at for the updates on that, and then you can be aligned with the coursework too for practitioner skills moving forward. So let's move it on. I can't remember what's up next though. Okay, excellent. So before, again, as always, if there is any chat, oh God, I've had a disaster. Let's just move back. If there is any questions, concerns that you have, please do post them in the chat. Laura, I've noticed that you've turned into a dog, and that isn't me being insulted. But if we just look here, there is a little putz here. It'd be great to know who this is. Get them involved with SEN Stream, as it were. I'm a Catman myself, though. My nickname on the course a couple of years ago was actually Catman. So I have Wallace, who is from Star in Glenrothes in Scotland, and I have Peanut, who's a total arsehole. So, and he's from Clackmannanshire. He's a ginger boy cat. He's just the worst cat on the planet ever. We're not on good terms at the moment, but it's fine. Anyway, so any chat, do let me know, and we'll go from there. Whilst that is populating and you guys are disseminating the questions that you have off the top of your head, I'm going to discuss the tweet of the week. Now, I believe I already have this open within the browser, so let me just get that open now. We can say see you later to Chris, because we've done that bit. So my tweet of the week this week is from Asker You Can Drop. He is the creator of a program called My Sports Science. But I did a lecture on protein metabolism for my level 5 physiology students who are on the undergraduate program on Tuesday. There was this intrinsic link between protein consumption and weight loss. And I was a bit like, guys, it's an interesting paradigm that you're drawing there. But the emphasis of the lecture today is not on protein for the consumption, protein for the purposes of weight loss or weight management or body composition changes, but rather just the acute responses that we see to protein consumption post-exercise. So how can we maximize muscle protein synthesis? What's the dose, the amount, what's the dose, the timing, the pattern, the quality, the source, all those types of factors. But then it kind of, I was just scrolling through my Twitter feed and came across this particular link here. So Asker runs My Sports Science. It's an online learning platform. But this is Professor Stuart Phillips. If you've read anything about protein metabolism in any depth, it's impossible to not see his work pop up. He's from McMaster University over in Canada. He's a world leader in protein metabolism, particularly post-exercise, but also within the aging population as well. And essentially, if you click on this link, it will take you across to My Sports Science's website. You can create an account. If you use your student account, you can log into this, and you can then go through and have a look. So if I just have a quick little look at this, let me just pull it down here because I suspect my personal Gmail account will come up, and I don't necessarily want the whole world emailing me on my own account. So just bear with me. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, let me pop this back up. So we've got protein for weight loss here. If I click on that, it will take me across to this learning. So it's going to encourage me to continue learning here. Everyone is learning, so I'm going to continue that. And it takes you through to this presentation that Stuart given over in the Netherlands. And it's really good. So do take a look. The sound quality is amazing on it as well. He's wearing a lapel mic, so it doesn't sound like he's stood in the lecture theatre that he's in. And you can download the handouts. You can have a look at the thing. But it is just a YouTube video. So if you can't be bothered with all the sign-in nonsense and all that, I don't want to play this video because my stream will get copyrighted. And I don't want that because it will then force me to put adverts on the thing. So let me just pop a link for you guys into the chat, which I seemingly cannot do right now. 1 second. Come on. Yeah, I'm having a bit of a mare here. 1 second. Reset. There we go. Here's a link to the YouTube video if you are just interested in getting the content, and then go from there. Well worth the watch. Interesting. Again, from one of the best sources of protein knowledge that you can get. So do take a look. Take the opportunity to have a view, further your knowledge, and have a look across that resource of learning opportunities that's listed on My Sports Science as well. Asker is a previous prof from the University of Birmingham before he went off and did his own thing. He was also can't remember what his official title was, but essentially the head of sport and exercise science for Gatorade Sports Science Institution. So Asker's doing all right for himself, is what I would say. And as such, decent quality, knows what decent quality looks like in terms of nutrition knowledge and nutrition information, research, etc. So get yourself across, have a look. If you're interested in the tweet, I'll post that in the chat now as well, so you guys can have a look. We can all go from there. So let me head back over to the chat and we can see if there's anything being said. This is annoying that it doesn't populate this immediately, but never mind. So we can see here, let's have a look. I've just put the links in, but let's just have a quick zoom in and see what people are saying. So Laura, oh, that's my parents' dog. I think YouTube is getting confused between my personal account and my uni account. Fair enough. Hello to Laura's parents' dog, as it were. Excellent. Any questions, folks? Get in touch. Let me know what the hell's going on. So let me go back over to my presentation and see what the next bit is. I think we're on the next steps. Okay. Now I keep mentioning this. I've already mentioned it. Some of the processes that take part, the projects that have been advertised on the course website, the course Blackboard site. Have a look, read through them, see what you're interested in, get in touch with supervisors, arrange meetings, whatever it is that you need to do, because the next steps is for the allocation to actually take part. Now, again, hopefully you get from the way I run the course and the way that I do SEN stream and things like that, I'm very keen for you guys to be involved in that process and have an active role in taking control over which supervisor you would like to be allocated. And as such, I'm going to share with you what is going to be announced or placed on Blackboard, likely tomorrow, and to be filled in by next Friday. So let's head across to the Google form I'm going to get you guys to populate. So let's have a look. So each year, I give you guys the opportunity. Let me just see if I can just preview this as an actual form. Yeah, here we go. Now, you can see here we've got the MSc SEN dissertation topic and supervisor preference 2019 to 2020. It says some nice things here, and then it asks you for your name, first, last. Capitalization just helps when the sheet is formed. Your student number, just in case for whatever reason we can just be very specific. This obviously cannot be anonymous, because otherwise how the hell am I going to allocate people? And then it's asked you for your first supervisor preference. So if you could choose any of the members of staff on this particular page here, so we've got Sanjoy, Brad, Jane, Mike, Claire, and Carly, who would it be? You cannot choose more than one. Yep, so it tells you off for doing that. So you need to select one. Let's go with Sanjoy for this. I might just need to put some details in. So I'm going to put Mike Newell. I'm going to put my student number as just some random numbers. And then I'm going to go with Sanjoy first. I click next. Oh, I missed a question. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I've missed this bit. This form is keeping me on track. Now, because you have the guidance document with what different projects are available to you, you might be as keen to say, I want to specifically work with Sanjoy on this advertised topic that he's given. Now, for some of you, and I know, for example, I'm going to use Rebecca as an example again. Not quite sure who she wants to be allocated to because of the subject area, the question that she's actually asking. And that's absolutely fine. And similarly, it's absolutely fine for you to put a very generic title. So it could be, resistance exercise and protein consumption. Pretty generic. It's not too specific, and you could do lots with that particular question. It could be whatever it would be, but I would really like to emphasize that you need to put something here. So I'm going to put protein consumption and resistance exercise. I'm just not sure. Exclamation mark. So at least when I look through, your preferences, the title, I can make a decision as to whether the title that you've put aligns with the supervisor, or whether there's someone better that would be more appropriate for you to actually be allocated to. This has happened before, where a preference has been put, but actually they're not really the best person to supervise you because of the expertise of other staff members. So let's click next. Let's have a quick look. Now I can put my second preference. say Sanjoy is just overwhelmed. He's doing such a great job in practitioner skills that everyone wants to be with him. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen because there needs to be an even distribution of project students across the supervisors. So I will endeavor to do my best to ensure that you get the first or second preference that you put down. But please be realistic in that there is not going to be one supervisor who's supervising 5 projects. The likelihood is each supervisor might be capped at 3. This is why I'm trying to emphasize that if you get in touch with the supervisor, you talk about their projects, you show your enthusiasm, your keenness, add value to that in that conversation, to what you might do, how you might improve it, how you might change it, whatever. That will all help in the allocation process moving forward. So I'm going to go with Jane second. I'd like to be supervised by Jane as my second preference. And then I've got my third absolute, worst case scenario. First and second are not available. I'll go with Claire. Claire's basically my academic mentor. So she's been solid the whole time. You can send your own version of the responses if you like. I think it will ask me for an email, so I'm just going to ditch that. And then I'll click submit, and that's my submission done. Okay, so hopefully that's super crystal clear. It's very clear how that works. Make sure you put a project title, make sure you put your name, your student number, and also that you populate the 3 preferences. Again, please don't think that if you just put your first preference and you don't answer the next 2, that you're only going to get that. It's obviously not going to happen like that. And it's just daft to do that because you're limiting your options, and it's more likely you'll get randomly allocated someone. So please populate all 3 to give us all a fighting chance to make sure that we've got a bit of control as to how our research projects are all going to move forward from there. So hopefully that makes sense. You guys are on board with that. You think it's fair. It's a good way of doing it. Worked well last year, if it's any consolation. Most, I would say 95% of the students, there was a lot more students doing projects last year. There was about 22 students. There's only 10 this year, so hence the bringing down of the number of people are supervising. But there's only 1 student who didn't get their first or second, and it was because the person... there was a better person to supervise their project title, and it all worked out in the end. They've graduated and had a great time as a result of it. So there we go. So get involved. Please put your preferences down. I will put the link up on the 2 Blackboard sites, the part-time and full-time Blackboard sites moving forward, so that everyone is on board, so we can do some good work together, because that's the whole point of that. So let's move it on. I think we're just up to the chat now, which is good news. Yes. So I'm going to sit here and recap whilst anyone with any questions comes back to me. It could be about supervisor allocation. It could be about anything. So we've got, again, it's absolutely storming through the semester. We're up to week 10, which is insane if you ask me. I'm talking to Eddie about Christmas at the moment, asking what he wants, and it's funny. I tried to bribe him into eating his dinner one night because he's getting a bit fussy, which is kind of annoying, especially when you have a 5-month-old who's sort of staring at you or crying most of the time. And he's like, I tried to I'm having a phone call with Santa later on, and essentially he's going to ask me if you've been good or bad, and if you don't eat your dinner, then you're not going to get any presents. And he's like, I don't want any presents. I just want snow. So yeah, undermined by a 3-year-old, which is fantastic. So, but yeah, nearly Christmas, amazing. Hopefully everyone has got some plans for a nice break, irrespective of whether you celebrate Christmas or not. But yeah, I am literally just doing some filling of time whilst any questions come in. But recap of what's going on next week. So concepts today, Claire's going to just briefly show maybe some class level statistics with regards to the responses or the how well people have done on the first coursework, which is great. You've got a session with Teddy on zinc and iron. You've got a session following that, which I can't remember, is on food for mental health, which is going to be a nice little sidestep into the psychology of food consumption and such like. With Sanjoy, you've got the use of technology in sports nutrition as a sort of, and then you've got Chris the following week, which is excellent. Check out Chris's profiles, look him up on Twitter, give him a follow, say you're really interested in looking forward to his session, etc., etc. Research methods for health sciences, we're moving into that focus groups, and therefore it's going to be important for you guys to focus on how you can apply those techniques to a research question of your interest or into your practical applied work that you may be doing moving forwards. And yeah, get involved. There's one thing I didn't mention, actually. I think I've deleted off the slide, which let me just have a quick look. 1 second. I'm fairly certain I accidentally deleted a slide. Yeah, there was an update from Jane with regards to there was an update from Jane regarding Claire doing a tutorial session on SPSS and using some data that you guys have gathered in one of your practical sessions. Please get yourselves across to that tutorial session. If you're struggling with SPSS or you want some additional tips and techniques and how to set up, lay out your data sets, which is 75% of the battle with SPSS is actually putting your data in the correct way. Once you've got that sorted out, everything else is easy from there. The program is reading your data in the way that you intend it to. Claire's really good on SPSS. She's an epidemiologist, for God's sake. Like, her entire career is based on using statistical techniques. So get yourselves across to that tutorial session. I can't remember exactly the specifics of that, and I apologize for deleting the slide, but have a look on the Blackboard site for the update on that. And my apologies for deleting the slide. I completely forgot. So get across, get involved. I can see some questions and some chat coming up. So let's have a quick look. Hopefully you guys can see this. So Laura, would be really interesting to see what everyone is doing for their projects. I would be happy to help anyone out as a volunteer or as an extra pair of hands if anyone needs one when I can. Thank you very much for that, Laura. That's excellent. To get a little bit of experience for yourself and also to see what everybody's doing. Perhaps what we should do, and if everyone was in agreement, I think it's a really great idea that people share the general areas and topics that they're interested in as well. So with everyone's agreement, I think the way to stop that from happening is if you are particularly keen on your topic not being shared, then let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to share what people put down. So I'll take your names off it, but the general topics that people want to cover, I'll show that next week because hopefully by next Thursday, everyone will have completed that form. So it would be interesting to get a little bit of insights to what people are doing. Jillian has asked a question here. Regards to the exams, I've noted exam sessions for each module. Will we get any more support or will these be sufficient? I'm already a bit worried about them. Okay, we are, as a teaching team, we are very aware of the anxiety, stress around undertaking the examination. So just trying to think, Jillian, what you will be due to sit. So you'll have the in-class test, which is for concepts and principles. Now, there is a lot of guidance available on that in-class test on the Blackboard site, I believe. And also the quizzes that you guys have been doing, and also Claire has been trickling out practice exam questions, will continue to happen. But also be aware that on the Blackboard site, you can actually look up last year's exam. So if you were curious to know what level of question was being asked, or if you wanted something to practice with, then go and have a look for those previous exam papers so that you can kind of start to think about how exactly you would prepare for that sort of stuff. So hopefully that will help to ease any concerns that you may have with regards to examinations. With nutrition, you have an exam for nutrition and performance. Again, there is an emphasis within the course to ensure that there's no surprises in the exam, because I don't think that's fair. I think it needs to be sorry, I've just seen your comment come up there. Just the two modules, concepts and performance of nutrition performance. Again, Jane will be putting on, I think she's putting on some practice sessions for you. And again, the previous exam papers or questions should be made available to you if they haven't done so already. But again, there's an emphasis on there shouldn't be any surprises there. Like, we're going to be covering content that's been covered on the module. So if you've attended the sessions, you've done the extra readings, and therefore you've prepared adequately for the exam by ensuring that you're familiar with those different topics. What's the contentious issues? What's some good references to put in there? What are the general, just being generally interesting in the topic? That is going to put you in a good position to do well on the exam. If there are any specific concerns, then ask the module leader, like, is there any opportunities for us to ask you any questions about this? Or I'm feeling a little bit concerned about the exam. What could we do to best prepare for it, etc., etc. So don't stress. There is lots of help there. And again, we want you to do well. We don't want any surprises. And we want a level playing field for you guys to do the best that you possibly can do on those modules. So hopefully that helps. Christy, Do we know what time the exams take place? Now, that is a good question. I don't know if the re-exams timetable has been released yet, but let's have a look. Now, let's have a quick... It will take me a couple of minutes to just get this, and also I'm on a screen that I can't actually read, so let me just... Give me a second, I'll find it, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just going onto the university website, and they are all published on there, but I haven't had any notifications yet as to whether this has actually been published yet. So let me just go and take a look, and if it's available, I will send a link to it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to send a link because this is where the official dates will drop, and I'm going to pop that on here now. So this is where the final document will be placed when you get there. If you click on that link and just go and take a look, you'll see there's Fitzrovia provisional exam timetable. Let me pop this up on the screen. This is what I'm looking at now. This is encouraging me to do some stuff I don't want to do. Now, I can't see this that well, but I'm going to have a little look. So you can see here, this is the provisional exam timetable. This gives us an opportunity as staff members to just have a quick look. Now, I'm just trying to see exactly if there's some level 7 codes in here, which there should be. Now, your concepts test is an in-class test. This is not an exam, from what I remember. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. We could speed this up a little bit by just going like this. Concepts, yeah. So your concepts exam is set by the module. So that should have already been announced. And if it hasn't, ask someone about it, because that's when the... it's an in-class test, so we have more control over when that can occur. So it's not an exam. If it's an exam like nutrition or essentials in nutrition performance, if I just put in nutrition or even performance, because modules won't have that in their title. Yeah, here we go. So the provisional, and I would like to emphasize that it is a provisional timetable, suggests the exam is going to be on Friday the 17th of January between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And that is the Essentials of Nutrition and Performance exam. It will be 2 hours long. It's postgraduate, and the room is to be confirmed. So hopefully that will give you some way of addressing that. I know that Jane watches SEN stream. So Jane, a message to you. If that is wrong, or I'm putting a request for that to be changed, then if you could stick an announcement out on the Master Students Essentials Nutrition course, that would be fantastic. But that's how you find the exam timetable. That's the provisional exam. And unless Jane is specifically indicated or indicates in the next week, then that's likely when the exam date will be. So do plan ahead for that. 17th is generous because it gives you the most amount of time to prep for that. And it's actually quite ideal because I know you've got a little bit of assessment clustering within the new year. So hopefully that will give you a sufficient amount of time to get your head around that assessment and get things done. So hopefully that was helpful. Christy, we have the date, but not the time as far as I can see. Yeah, so hopefully I've just cleared that up. But again, until the final exam timetable is released, and once I know about that as well, I will definitely put an announcement out on the 2 course Blackboard sites so that you guys are aware, that is available and ready to go. So hopefully that answers your question. Excellent stuff, guys. Really helpful to know what you guys are thinking, what the questions are, and whether I can help, and whether your profile picture is your parent's dog or not. It's just all good stuff to know, is what I would say, and keeps the staff in tune with what the hell is going on with you guys on the course. So thank you for that. Moving forward. So hopefully today's stream was helpful. Hopefully the sound quality was better. I have this big board in front of me here to try and block out. I'm in this huge, very tall room, which is why it was so echoey last week. I listened with despair last time. So my apologies for the quality of that. Hopefully things have been better this week and will continue to be as we move forward. So with no further questions in mind, again, thank you very much for everyone for listening today. Hopefully it's been useful. You're now prepped and ready to go for week 10. You're going to head across the concepts with an open mind, having read your feedback, which is all important stuff. And then again, if you want any further clarification or you feel that you need additional support if you have to resit or resubmit later on in the semester, then do let me know. as a person, if or your personal tutor or the course leader, or the module leaders, whatever it would be, make sure you seek out the support that you need and try and make it specific to the feedback that you've received as well. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. As always, questions excellent. The feedback I'm getting across the modules is great. Thank you very much for engaging with the content of the course. Make sure you get involved with the projects. Keep an eye out for the supervisor preference form that's going to come out. And most importantly, have a nice and relaxed weekend as we move towards week 10. Thank you very much for listening. Great to have you all on board again this week. And I will see you on the next edition of SEN Stream. Thanks very much, guys.